like in the podcast I've listened to, Matt Orford, the Ox, being one of the strongest players that you've ever coached.
Absolutely. The thing is, like, his feats in the gym, like he would have been 86 kilo or something. He benched 150, 155. That's just enormous. That's enormous for him, for his size, he won. But the thing is, a lot of people underestimate, I mean, all the players I've ever worked with, they were tough. They were tough. But I'll never forget, one day we're out there behind the line, defending our line, and I was the orange. I ran on there for 13 seasons, right behind that line through grand finals and everything. And I remember coming out, and he's come off this line, and he's just got whacked. And I heard from where I was about 12 meters back, I heard it. And when I went out there, he couldn't get up, but we got him up, and he had to get back in that defensive line on our own goal line. And I could hear him wheezing, trying to breathe. And if any of us have ever been winded, try it.
It hurts,
It hurt, man. And not only that, you're incapacitated.
Yeah.
So not only that, but it was his rib, and he's trying to move back to the line, and he's going, and he turns around. Well, we've got back to the line, and like any smart team would, where's that trainer? Where's he standing? We go in there, and they've come straight in there. He's just turned around and just made that next tackle and just cleaned him up, And to me, watching that and feeling that, it was very natural, like it was a response from him. But man, it was tough. It was just tough, And that's probably one of the, Matty had lots of great moments, but that's one in particular.
Yeah.
Because man, when they hit him, I could feel it. Like he was a tough guy, and we had lots of guys that we had to almost put a lead on to contain them, with just that natural, and they were tough not because they enjoyed violence or they were pugilists or anything like that. They were tough because they loved the contest. They loved Stevie Matai loved the contest. That's why he would get out and whack people,
Or George Tafua.
Or George, but but then you'd see them. The people they were whacking, they were all friends. They were all, because there was never malice. Never malice. It was just on, mate. It was just like, let's test each other.
I think,
Matty's now back involved with the juniors at Manly, which is fantastic for them.
Yeah. I think Matt Ballin was doing a bit of that as well, wasn't he?
Matt Ballin did a lot of that. He did a lot of that for a few years.
Workers.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And then NRL, until we left lockdown in the COVID. And then he stayed up in Brisbane, and then he went. But we've got quite a few players, and Brett Stewart, guys who are just lending that excellence back in, and it really it saves you a lot of ground when you've actually got fibre there. Teaching.
So Darren's actually asked one of the, so we put up a little bit of a Q&A. I do this every week before, and we get one question today from Darren. He sent me a DM. He asked, who is the strongest at Manly? So I guess in that sense, he's asking outside of Matt Orford in the current era. I guess Martin Tapau's now moved on to the Broncos, but from my own understanding, he's really big deadlift. But who else would you say is in that caliber? And that could even, Donny, that could even be from a psychological standpoint. You work with John Novak, like players that can just turn around and keep going. When they're spent.
Look, when it comes to the physicality, I mean, we've got a great strength and performance guys there now. We got Andrew Berridge down there, and we brought him in last year, and he stayed on with Siebes, and we've got Sam Pavan down there too. But the thing with Berridge is that he's a really intense lifter, and he's been able to, like, he's got guys like Saab, who were struggling on the hundreds and that, and he's a big long thing. They're whacking 130s now on their bench press. I actually am a little bit disconnected there in terms of strength. So because you're right, Marty was my last group. Geez, I'm just pound for pound in there. Geez, now you've really got my mind racing. But look, when it comes to like overall strength and that, if you're talking about speed and power production, you're going to have guys like, if there's running speed, obviously you got your Saabs, Tolu's. Tolu's an all rounder, very strong body, strong power, strong high speed. Garrick's probably, Garrick would be like, there's only probably a few athletes that I look at in my whole career who have really tenacious robustness about them. And Garrick comes into that. Garrick can run, you know, over 10 meters per second. Garrick lifts. He's you know, he's very disciplined. He knows his football. He works hard on his contact. He's a great person at training. So he falls into one of those, like a Matty Bellin to me. He's just really disciplined, applies his craft, knows what needs to be done, and goes and does it. Yeah. But when it comes to actual strength, you know, you've got that the mighty Pasika sitting in there, and he's a very strong individual. The one that I like to get them on is body weight, because I've always been a big body weight man. Yeah. So I got them their own chin bar. But for a long time, I was the only one who got on it, you know, because no one else could reach it. I'd have to climb up there with a ladder almost. But that was for Saab, Homole, and Pasika, because that was the only one where they could actually fully hang. Otherwise, you know. But no, strength wise, yeah, you probably threw me when you said Marty, because at the time Marty was the big bencher. After that, I'd probably have to go to Pasika, who was a big body, but he's got no body fat, and he's very strong.
Yep. And Ches is more of a psychological strength character.
Ches, you know what? Ches is very fit, and of course
he's heard that with the beat.
Yeah, oh, he's very fit, and so when you look at Croker and Ches, you know, running around the middle, and Tom, you know, they've got great yo-yos, you know, and especially for Croker and Ches, you got to need those, because you know you're making decisions. You know, Foz was in there. Who's playing in there now with them? Just forgot there for a second.
Schuster's injured.
Well, Shuey, Shuey will be fine. Shuey's just young. Shuey's young, and he's still shedding. And you know, and Shuey's got enough football smarts and tactical about him to survive a bit longer, and until everything else connects and gets into place. But immaturity is something you can't rush, and I don't mean immaturity in a negative sense. I mean it as in an actual biological sense. So yeah, you just got to be patient with him, and he'll be fine. But when it comes to those yo-yos and that, you know, Croker and Ches, they just smash those up, because they're the thinkers. They've got to be operating at that high. Yeah.
And operating under fatigue as well. Something that
under fatigue, yeah.
You know, when they go to stress them, they go to that dark place, and then you throw, you make them 100%. Make decisions. Yeah. And you know, and they're the guys that bring you out. You know, so you just got to stay there till they come up with a plan. So you got to be, they've got to have a bit more. Yeah. But I've never been in a game where, even if it looked like we were doing silly things or we made mistakes, but I've never been in a game where we got in trouble and Ches didn't try to take us out by leading. And yeah, it might be a mistake, we take a kick, but it's all because of his intention and his pure effort to just get us out of there. But then you watch, you know, any mistake made, he'll be the first one to get around there and try and make amends for it. And you just can't ask for more than that. That's why Queensland are lucky to have him as a skipper. And you know, people can say anything to me, but sometimes they forget who they're talking to, you know. And I've had a lot of years with him. He's mentally tough fella.